fun, tarnation!
I meant to do that.
Howdy folks, this is Applegeek, and here we are with My Little Pony Season 8, Episode 17. Just a quick little note before I get into this. Just last night, I finally got around to releasing my 25,000 subscriber special, so go check that out if you have not already. I got a cool little surprise for all you guys there. And that's all I got to say about that. So let's get on to Episode 17, starting now. Oh, back in school. Interesting outfit.
Rarity!
Rarity and Starlight.
It's the pony I'm looking for.
Okay.
Can you come to Twilight's class with me? It won't take long.
Oh, I'd love to help, but I have to meet Rainbow Dash for our day of fun together.
Twilight wants
Day of
to
fun,
use
what?
you as an example for the students.
Woo!
Okay.
Your
What
example is here.
kind of example?
I thought I was the example.
You both are.
What?
Because together you perfectly demonstrate my lesson on compromise and friendship. Rainbow Dash and Rarity have very different interests that keep them busy. But being friends is
This
so
is true.
important to them, they always manage to make time for each other.
Our
Aww.
day of fun was hard to plan, what with Rainbow Dash's extremely time-consuming and erratically scheduled Wonderbolts practice, and Rarity's weird fashion seasons. She's working on her winter collection, and it's not even summer yet.
That's normal.
But you still found time to be together, and that's what counts. See, class?
That
These
outfit on
boys are
Rarity is
models
so
of
cute.
true friendship in action. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your day of fun.
Nice object lesson.
What
Uh-oh.
amazing stuff are you gonna do together?
Obstacle races, bus shopping,
Wait,
Dash shopping.
what?
Come on! I even said shopping that time. We'll go shopping first. But I brought stuff for Bug Bolt. Are we supposed to be learning something here? Cause this doesn't sound like compromising at all.
Oh.
Yeah, you guys have nothing in common. How can you be friends?
Oh, this gonna be good. Have we ever even had Rarity and Rainbow Dash paired off together in an episode before? None are coming to mind offhand. I mean, they've been together in plenty, but not just focus on those two. Oh. Well, the name of the game is Compromise, so we're going to see something interesting happen before the end of this. But yeah, the two kind of are quite distinctly different in their personalities,
Even
so...
though Rainbow Dash and Rarity enjoy doing different things, there are plenty of reasons why they're friends.
Damage control!
Like what?
Yes,
We've
please
always been
demonstrate.
friends. Always?
No.
not
The end in
always.
friend?
For like a super long time.
Oh
And
no!
same ponies. Is that it?
That ain't
Was
much.
that time during the Cloudsdale Best Young Flyer competition when I totally saved Rarity's life? Yes. And I once proved Rainbow Dash's innocence to her beloved Wonderbolts when she
Oh!
was framed for a mysterious
Yeah, Rarity investigates. I forgot about that.
Oh, what else?
How could I forget about that?
Look,
Isn't that enough?
It may seem like Rarity and Rainbow Dash don't have that much in common when you try to put
More
it into
damage control.
words, but sometimes friendships can't be explained. You just have to see them in action to understand.
Oh no.
Actually, that's a great idea.
Oh no! You're gonna have an audience the whole day! Oh no!
Just go about your day of fun as you normally would.
No!
You won't even know we're here.
Yes, they will. Oh boy. Is that Braybird? I haven't seen him in a long time.
Rarity, you were supposed to be holding your bucket.
She's working on clothes designs.
Oh, sorry, darling. Wearing this drab jersey gave me an idea for a football-inspired line of athleisure wear that would allow for maximum flexibility and style. But I'm ready now.
I want to see that, by the way.
Because this time, I'm gonna try something new and super intense.
That is Braybird. What the?
Rarity,
Seriously?
are you even paying attention?
That was like a mini Sonic Rainboom.
I held my bucket and everything.
Talk about a finishing move.
Catch the ball. Really? Well, that sounds dangerous. Oh, forget it. She's never gonna understand the point of this game. Football time is over. Finally.
So what, shopping now?
See? They did something Rainbow Dash likes, so now it's time for something Rarity likes. Compromise.
Compromise.
I'm genuinely not sure. Are they too in style?
Too much glitter.
Is that what you want them to be? Yes, but they should be ahead of the curve. If they're in fashion right now, then they're practically already out. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Perhaps I should get the stilettos instead. What do you think? Unless you like tripping with every
High heels for ponies.
on a horse are pretty useless.
Yeah, how does that even work?
Rare. They are perfect in a multitude of situations. Formal functions, afternoon teas, evening teas, high tea, tea by the sea, royal tea. Can they
Way too much glitter.
No, it's on my hooves. Are we done yet?
Oh, there's a G3 meme in here somewhere.
This is so boring.
Rainbow Dash and Rarity are just, showcasing an aspect of friendship called banter. The playful and friendly exchange of
Really?
remarks. It's all in good fun.
Really?
Oh,
Rock cave, okay.
Collecting gemstones is my favorite.
Those boots.
Finally, something we can agree on. Treasure hunting.
Those boots. I can't get over those boots.
That didn't take long. Now they're having a great time together.
Ooh, magnifique. This will be perfect for the emerald-encrusted romper I've been working on. Cool. Now, what would be even cooler is if we could find a treasure chamber or something. Now,
Of course.
if I were a secret door, where would I be?
Oh no. You've been reading way too much Daring Do. You're gonna cause a cave-in.
Rainbow Dash, could you please refrain from all of that racket? It's muddying my concentration. Ooh, look, a
Uh-oh.
lever.
Oh no. Lever? Really?
It's stuck. Help me, Rarity. Just a moment.
Oh no. Was it gonna be water behind there or just... Oh!
You ruined my guns.
How do gems break like they're glass?
You ruined my treasure hunt. Oh, this wasn't about treasure. It was about finding gemstones for my winter collection. Who cares about clothes? We're supposed to be on an adventure together.
Uh-oh.
That is it.
Remind me why those two wanted to spend time together in the first place?
Fine by me. Maybe I can spend some time doing something I actually like now.
Surely you don't mean that. You're just
Why didn't they
having
just
a
go to the
little
spa for a
disagreement.
day?
Sometimes that happens between pals. But no matter what, they can always get past the problem and stay good friends.
I don't think we can. You don't care about any of the things I like. It's always about you and your boring fashions. Oh, please. You don't even give my interests a chance. You have absolutely no respect for the finer things. No respect, I tell you. I guess we're just not friends anymore.
Well, this is going swimmingly.
Then there was the time Rainbow Dash called my Cloudsdale Couture boutique idea impractical. Imagine that.
Oh, we're in a
Just
full
because I needed
therapy
twilight
session
to
now?
form the butterfly wing spell on me whenever I wanted to deliver merchandise. And I told her 1,000 times, Pegasus
Okay,
don't
call back
even
there.
want restrictive heavy dresses. We need to be able to fly. Duh. Not to mention the day I was wearing a really gorgeous hat. And Rainbow Dash didn't even notice.
Oh, is this Starlight in the middle of this?
Was ruined. Rarity's hat was blocking every pony's view. Enough.
Yep, it's Starlight.
Counseling is for talking out your problems, not telling me everything that's ever happened in the history of the But I've learned sometimes talking
this is
isn't
great.
enough. You need to put yourselves in one another's shoes.
No way am I wearing those.
Not literally.
What I'm saying is we need a way to help you to reconnect.
Okay. Wow. Rarity is peeved.
Library? And this helps us how?
You both love books. Rainbow Dash never stops talking about daring do adventures, and
True.
you're a huge fan of Shadow Spade mysteries.
Oh, of course, the mysteries. Okay.
Your point?
The perfect way for you two to reconnect as friends is to read each other's favorite book.
Oh.
Then we'll all discuss afterward. It'll be a good friends book club, okay?
It's an interesting idea.
How about snacks?
Fine.
Who can turn down free snacks? Face.
We're all here. To start, why don't you two share one thing you liked about each other's books?
They didn't like a darn thing.
Okay, I'll go first. I really enjoyed the part in Daring Do and the Razor of Dreams when Daring used a vicious crocodile as a raft, and then...
Please. What's so funny?
Really?
Oh, sorry. It's just that I find those action sequences so ridiculously over the top. But they're real.
You know they're regal.
Yes, but the book's descriptions just drag on. What about all those silly, unpronounceable names? Dr. Whoosy, what's it? Caballero. Caballero! Just like it looks! How hard is that?
Wow.
Any pony? Summer sandwich? Or we could go over some nice, friendly talking points.
Seriously?
Okay.
Don't even get me started on those clothing descriptions in Shadow Spade. What a
Oh.
fest!
Oh
The
boy.
outfit descriptions are an integral part of the plot of The Cult in Crimson, a Shadow Spade mystery.
Now I know why Rarity likes that so much.
You see, if you didn't know that Sir Fluffingsworth von Radishfield wears only silk double-breasted waistcoats, you'd never deduce that he, in fact, was a culprit.
Naturally.
Wait, he was? You didn't even read it!
Oh.
I can see I'm gonna need reinforcements.
Yeah.
Not my fault it's so
Oh, who's she gonna get?
me to sleep. If you can't be bothered to read the thing I like, that just further illustrates the point that we have nothing in common anymore.
Ooh.
At least we agree on that.
Oh
From
no.
now on, I'm only hanging out with ponies who get me.
Your drama can wait. Twilight needs help. Now!
Okay, is this realistic drama or a realistic problem or just manufactured for their sake?
It's gone.
What's gone?
What's gone?
The amulet of Aurora.
The who? What now?
Magical items you've been keeping for Princess Celestia?
Eh?
That amulet can reverse the tides and summon tsunamis. If it falls into the wrong hooves, Equestria will be in grave danger.
Okay.
Don't worry, Twilight. I know tons about searching for lost treasure. And if I follow the culprit's clues, I'm certain I can find who took your amulet.
Thank you. I'll feel so much better knowing you two are looking for it. Together.
While we work on a locator spell. It's the perfect solution.
Yeah, right. I don't think this thing actually
There
exists.
appeared to be no
That should have been locked up in a
damage
vault
to the
somewhere, just saying.
artifacts, suggesting the thief did not leave in a hurry.
But hey, if it gets them back together,
Rarity, your boots are leaving sparkles.
that's a
all
different
over
color
the
of
floor.
glitter.
Those aren't from my boots. Mine are magenta,
Yeah,
not
see?
blue. See? I mean, really.
Yeah, really. Obvious trip.
Turns out these boots were not made for trotting, as
No.
advertised.
Can you just ditch the boots already, please?
Promise Twilight we'd work together. Don't you see? The amulet of Aurora is made out of azurantium.
What? Not what?
Azurantium? You know, the same metal that the amulet of atonement from Daring Do Book 4 is made from. It always leaves sparkles wherever it
Okay.
goes. Just like this. Remember? It's from the book you just read.
Apparently neither one of them paid attention very much.
That book, yes, the one I just read.
Yeah, you didn't. Neither of you read it.
Seriously? After giving me all that grief, you didn't read mine either?
Mm-hmm.
Oopsie. As soon as we find this amulet, we are done with each other. Fine by me!
Man, what are we, 6-year-olds today? Yes, please, just get rid of the boots, please.
Down! You're flying past important clues.
Oh,
Look,
footprints?
it's a print. Definitely not a hoof. Are those claw marks? Who cares? I found
They got the
another
students
clue.
to help. I'm gonna say, there's no way Starlight and Twilight could have set all this up so quickly, but
Through that.
perfect lesson for the students.
Nah, it's too deep. We'll get stuck. Ooh, clever. What daring do book did you get that from? Actually, I went to the Scootaloo's Philly Guides camp. At
Oh,
least you can fly across.
wow.
Nope. One of those geysers burns off my wing feathers, I'll be out of the Wonderbolt for weeks. I could try and slingshot my way through, but I need 2 perfectly placed trees, some stretchy rope, and
What?
a pith helmet.
Which she
Too
just...
bad we can't do what Daring Do did in book 4 and find a crocodile for a raft.
She did...
SS Crocodile at your service.
This says Crocodile.
That is
Is awesome!
I mean,
Oops.
it's all right, I guess.
I didn't mean to say that.
How did you know how to do that? We may have been friends for a super long time, but you don't know everything about me yet.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, that's cool. Hey, she's pulling a Scootaloo!
The glitter trail, it's gone! How are we supposed to find the Amulet of Aurora now?
What is that?
Sorry, what
Okay.
did you say?
Yeah, he's a little quiet. Oh, you're too loud.
I think it's a buffergrid. They have really sensitive ears. Did you happen to see any creature with a sparkly thingy go this way?
Saw it.
Hold that thought.
Ugh.
His breath smells so bad I can't think. But we can't hear him from back here.
It's probably even worse than the breath from that guy in the movie. What?
Perfect solution. An old unicorn beauty trick. That is, if you can somehow procure us a tiny bit of cloud. Now that I can do.
What? Is it like some sort of like herb remedy or something? Oh, now that was creative.
Adorable.
They put that on like toothpaste. What?
Excuse me,
It is toothpaste. Oh my word!
Special treat for you in exchange for your information.
What's that?
It's candy.
It is a magical unicorn delicacy called effervescence. Very now, very chic.
Oh,
Sorry. Enjoy.
my mouth. Fresh and
Minty? Minty fresh?
Good.
Aw.
Now, which way did the sparkly thing go?
Up there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, what are you waiting for? Go on, fly up there and get that amulet.
Not without my
We're
friend.
doing this together, remember?
Mhm.
And
Whee!
Sorry, but I wasn't leaving you behind in that swamp. Thank you.
Has she never gone on a Pegasus ride like that? Apparently not. Wow.
Maybe the key to unlocking this thing is in these inscriptions. Or perhaps the key
It's
is right here.
hidden under a rock. What?
I couldn't decide between the boots and the stilettos, so I got both.
And how does that remotely constitute a lockpick?
And you call them useless. I shouldn't have said that. Or made fun of the other stuff you like to do. Some of it's actually...
Okay, I admit it. I was wrong too.
I owe you an apology, too. Buckball may not be my thing, but it's something you enjoy, and you're very good at it. I never should have treated your interests like they were worth less than mine. So, does this mean we're still friends?
Of course it does.
Now let's go find that
Aww.
amulet. Yeah!
And it
Wait, that tunnel leads to
the school.
secret passage! Awesome! Sparky Wakey! You stole
But
the amulet of Aurora? Not exactly. You mean this was a setup to make
Oh,
us
absolutely.
get along?
Sorry to interfere, but you both...
Really needed it. So, even though you don't like any of the same stuff, you two are friends again?
Yep.
Always.
Mutual
We
respect.
just needed a teensy reminder. Yeah, we don't have to love the exact same things to have fun together. I mean, imagine if we did. How boring would that be? When we give each other a chance to share the different things we enjoy, it can be surprisingly wonderful. Oh, too bad we wasted our day of fun. We still have a little time left. You wanna go hit the shops? I could actually use your help picking out some new buckball gear. Why?
Extended horse noises.
If you help me choose some buckball fan attire, so I can cheer for my favorite player at the
Yes.
drop of a fabulous hat.
Yes.
Yeah? Let's go already! I'm absolutely noted. Something
See? Good friends always work through their differences.
Aww.
Even if it takes a little help.
Wow. Great episode. Oh. This is the kind of episodes I've been wanting to see this season with the students in the school and... Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Alright, stay tuned everyone. I'll be right back. Alright, well, I'm back, and my opinion has not changed. This was a great episode. I'm going to say top 5 in this. It's in the top 5 of this season. Just all around a well-balanced story. I mean, excellent pacing, aside from the speed at which they set up the little adventure quest thing. That seemed awfully quick, but, I mean, that's a very trivial little nitpick thing. They used existing character flaws to explore a new character dynamic, rather than just inventing flaws out of thin air for characters that should not have had those flaws to begin with. The situation presented was very reflective of a problem that you'll run into with real-life friendships, so that was great. You got friends that were very supportive in helping to resolve the situation without going completely crazy on certain things, like we've seen in past cases in the show. Very good, clear moral lesson presented at the end with the students. That this is really what I've been wanting to see, like the students observing these issues and learning lessons by observing, like that's kind of the equivalent of the Dear Princess Celestia letters that we used to have. We've been kind of lacking a real solid delivery method for presenting the moral lessons at the end of these episodes, and with these students that really works very well. And I gotta say, even the students that were asking the questions in this episode were very well chosen. More on that a little bit later. But, yeah, I'm just going to get right into the main part of this here. No pun intended. Somehow we have a new main 6 dynamic to explore here. A character dynamic. After 8.5 seasons, you'd think we kind of would have done it all when it comes to the main 6. But nope. Rarity and Rainbow Dash really just have not spent much quality time together. The closest we've seen them together before really is in Rarity Investigates. And that was a completely different situation than what we had here. that was Rainbow Dash desperately trying to prove her innocence or something she was falsely accused of, and Rarity is doing her best to help her friend out and whatever. This is just spending time together as friends. And I'm honestly a little surprised that we haven't gotten this before now, but that's beside the point. And I do have to say, I always kind of felt like Applejack was Rarity's like polar opposite in the group, but after seeing this, I've come to realize that honestly Rainbow Dash is more of the polar opposite of Rarity, because as we saw here, there's very little that they actually do have in common. I mean, even Applejack and Rarity would have like spa days and things like that, where Rainbow Dash was loath to admit that she even went to the spa. I don't do those girly things, so just again, interesting new angle to explore on this. But anyway, for their day together, obviously they planned this. Rarity said that they kind of, went to great lengths to plan this day together, but the details surrounding that are rather uncertain. I'm not really sure what each other thought they would gain from it, because clearly they weren't on the same page when they were about to head out the door together. Rarity mainly wanted to go shopping. She mentioned shoe shopping, dress shopping, and something else, unfortunately, I could not make out. Rainbow Dash wanted to go to some sort of races, play buckball, and go flight goggle shopping. Now, going back, it really seemed like both of them thought that the other was just going to do all the things they wanted to do all day long. And clearly both of them were at fault to some degree in this. But I do got to give Dash a little bit of credit here. At least she tried to find some common ground. Rarity just really seemed to turn up her nose at everything that Dash suggested. And quite honestly, Rarity really kind of got full of herself in this episode. I mean, just, stepping through the interactions here. Dash suggested flight goggle shopping, like I mentioned. And she said, hey, I even said shopping that time. Rarity likes shopping. But Rarity seemed to not have any interest in that whatsoever. I suppose flight goggles aren't really in her definition of fashion. Dash tried multiple times to engage Rarity in the buckball game, and Rarity just sat there designing clothes instead of paying any attention to the game at all. Dash offered input on Rarity's shoe choices, negative though it was. At least she was sort of engaging a little bit. Rarity just didn't really try to help Dash find something that she liked or anything like that. She was just staying there trying on shoes that she herself liked. And then in the cave, Dash offered a compliment to Rarity regarding the nice gem that she found, before running off to look for treasure. And Rarity just got really frustrated with what she seemed, in my opinion, to perceive as kind of a childish treasure hunt. And she just kept going about her business of selecting more gems for, wait for it, her clothes. Rarity was just really stuck on designing and wearing clothes, and was basically ignoring Rainbow Dash for the entire day. I got to point out too, she was more shocked over the broken gems than she was concerned about whether or not Rainbow Dash had gotten hurt when she crashed into the cart of gems. So that kind of bothered me a little bit. And I do just have to point out again, the broken gems, just why? Why do they break like glass? That's not how gems work. I know, maybe that's how they work in this world, but that's just really not how they're supposed to work. I thought that Dash was going to cause like a cave-in or a flood in the cave or something like that. I mean, any of those options, in my opinion, would have made more sense than breaking the gems just by falling on the ground. But I digress. And then even during the counseling session with Starlight, it became apparent that seemingly all of these two's conflicts seem to revolve around Rarity's fashion ideas. So, definitely some friction there. Now, I do have to say, I do empathize with Rarity a bit. Just looking at this from a little bit of a higher level here, she clearly is quite passionate about the world of high fashion. That much is blatantly obvious. And she definitely loves beauty and wants to share it with all of her friends. I totally get that. And I've noticed that she is kind of really alone in her passion, at least amongst her closest friends. Dash and AJ just don't really have time for fashion stuff at all, except for rare occasions like a gala, and just neither of them really find fancy clothes to be practical at all for their usual activities. Pinkie, Twilight, and Fluttershy also rarely wear clothes in general. Fluttershy does have a side interest in fashion, but it's not her primary focus by any means. I get the feeling that Rarity feels rather isolated from the group in some ways, which causes some friction, especially with somebody like Rainbow Dash, who is a rather polar opposite of Rarity. And I can definitely understand the feeling of it being hard to find friends who share your interests. I mean, believe me, I was stuck, spinning in that gear a long time before I got into the show, quite honestly. I mean, common interests do help, but common interests are a good thing. But my mind got off track there. Anyway, the point is, I definitely understand where, how she might be feeling to some degree. It's hard for her to share her passion with her closest friends when they don't seem to have much time for it. So, that said, that is no excuse for how she treated Rainbow Dash. Rarity kind of had her priorities a little out of order here. Sometimes she just gets so wrapped up in her passion that she loses sight of what's important. In this case, she interpreted Dash's dislike for fashion as a personal insult, and saw it as a complete lack of respect for the finer things. I don't think that was at all Dash's intention, but that's how she was taking it. And because of that, she just got really defensive and was just finding fault with everything that Dash liked. She even seemed to consider Dash's interests to be less worthwhile than her own. And that was definitely stepping over a line. Even if you don't share somebody's interest, it's not right to look down on it as any less valid just because you don't like it. So, because of Rarity's attitude throughout this entire conflict, I really feel like the fault is mostly on her. Most of Dash's issue was just that she was a bit too quick to criticize Rarity's fashion choices, though not entirely without good reason, given some of the examples that were provided here, like that crazy hat blocking everybody's view during the Wonderbolt show. We've seen some big hats in Rarity, but I wonder if that one was really over the top or something. I would have liked to have seen that. And Dash did also fail to read Rarity's book like she was supposed to. But unlike Rarity, who not only didn't fully read the Daring Do book, she also went out of her way to find things about it to criticize. Dash mainly just didn't like Rarity's book because of all the subtle clothing details that were key to solving the mystery, and that just didn't thrill her that much. I mean, and let's be honest, Dash is not much of one for subtlety. So, I mean, those books really do provide a lot of insight into the readers' personalities, though. So, it was a very good move on Starlight's part to suggest that. It's just kind of too bad that by the time they got there, both of them were so wound up and mad at each other. They didn't want to concede on anything. I mean, they kind of just went into that expecting to not like it. So, since they already made up their mind, it wasn't really an honest effort. And I have to point something else out here, too. Rarity is not always perfect when it comes to fashion. I mean, she's used to being in the spotlight as a trendsetter. Obviously, her boutiques and fashion shows and everything, she's had a lot of success in the fashion world. I'm not discounting that. But I think sometimes that might go to her head a little bit too much, and she thinks she always knows best. She's made plenty of questionable clothing styles for both herself and others. I mean, some of the stuff we've seen her do in the show is just like, Rarity, stop. And I'd hope, after Honest Apple, I'd hope that maybe she would have learned a thing or two from Applejack about, practicality. Again, just finding some compromise there. I said, no, clothes don't always have to be the most practical thing ever, but they shouldn't be so horribly impractical to the point of being obnoxious. And those pink glittery boots, in my opinion, were a bit obnoxious. And they were also horribly impractical for most of that little adventure quest there. until the very end, where they unfortunately became a bit of a contrived plot device to get Dash to admit that fashion isn't all bad. That bugged me a little bit, just from the point of, Rarity. At present day, Rarity is a bit more sensible about that when she goes on to an outing in the wilderness. I mean, she's proven that she knows how to pack light and be pack practical for something like that. I get the feeling that in this case she was just kind of persistent on wearing those boots because she was trying to prove her point to Dash. But again, I digress. Anyway. But something occurred to me here. People sometimes complain about how annoying Pinky can be with her incessant exuberance. Rarity is just as bad in some aspects, or some respects. When she flaunts all of her impractical clothes in front of everyone, I think Rarity needs to realize that her fashion displays maybe aren't always the best idea, and that not everybody appreciates having them shoved in their faces. Just like not everybody appreciates a super bubbly party pony, going bonkers trying to share, spread happiness and cheer to everyone. There's a time and a place to share your passions with others, but sometimes you just need to dial it back a little bit and enjoy what others have to share. Unfortunately, that little fake adventure quest really helped them sort things out. About that, it's a little surprising that worked, but, well, firstly, it worked well, to kind of snap them out of their little spat there because, they had to hit them with a common goal, big, the words escape me here, just... overarching goal that's, was more something that both of them held in much higher regard than what they were squabbling over, which was the safety of Equestria. So, that common goal, great, fine. And, it may seem a bit extreme, but you gotta admit extreme measures were kind of necessary at this point. It also worked because both of them were just too caught up in their own drama to realize this whole thing was a setup. Oh, that dramatic entrance by Twilight there in the library, that was amazing. But anyway, and throughout the ordeal, Rainbow Dash really finally came to realize that these small details like the glitter color were in fact very important, and also learned how smart and ingenious Rarity actually is with how she built that raft and how she crafted the toothpaste for the Buffagran, things like that. Rarity, of course, benefited from Dash's leadership and knowledge of adventure quests, and you could say that Rarity was kind of the brains and Dash was the brawn going through that, but honestly, I'd really say that they were both smart and intelligent just in their own unique ways. They both had things to offer to help each other get through that. And, it did seem a little bit like Rarity was doing more of the work, more of the problem solving to try and get them through the various stages of the quest. But that does seem fair, since I do feel like she was more in the wrong to begin with. So, it all ended up balancing out well at the end. And I do have to say, Rainbow Dash once again showed her loyalty by flying Rarity up to the ledge rather than leaving a friend behind. I mean, after everything they'd been through that day, Dash could have very easily just left her there, especially with Rarity just saying, you go on ahead. But nope. I think at that point, both of them realized, that they were better. that their squabbling was just pointless, and they were better off as friends. So, and of course, that was the perfect time for them to make up there. Rarity did make an excellent point, though, back there. She said that even though they've been friends a long time, Dash still doesn't know everything about her. I think that kind of applies to us as well, meaning we don't necessarily know everything there is to know about these characters. Rarity's proven many times that her skills go far beyond just clothing fashions. On this quest, she's practically turned into MacGyver, in the way she cobbled together that raft. Also, we've seen her design, retail storefronts, which is a whole different thing than designing clothing to go in the storefronts. And, she's best with clothing, but it seems like she has a decent amount of engineering skills, too, when it comes right down to it. I think Rarity has a lot of hidden talent, and I think a lot of people, frankly, underestimate her. There are still things I definitely dislike about Rarity. There's still things that have been following her, flaws that have been following her since Season 1 that I still wish would be addressed in the show. But she has grown a lot over the years, and my respect for her has greatly increased over time as well. And I really wish we'd get a deeper backstory for Rarity, actually. I mean, Rarity's parents were, I think, the first parents of any of the main 6 that we met, or, among the first anyway. But that was a very, very long time ago, and we didn't get to see very much of them. And just overall, we don't have a whole lot of insight into Rarity's past. things that could explain why she is the way she is currently. And I don't know. I feel at some point it'd be fun to get more of Rarity's family and some more backstory there. I think that would help explain some things for us. But anyway, in the end, obviously they both realized how wrong they were and achieved a mutual respect for each other. Yay, we're all friends again. But yeah, they actually figured out how to compromise, though. They displayed that they didn't just say they'd learned their lesson, they showed it. Because immediately, like, hey, we still got some time left in the day. Want to go shopping? Hey, let's go shopping for clothes for Buck Ball. And Rarity even volunteered to wear fan attire. Now, I can pretty much guarantee that Rarity is still going to find a way to customize that Buck Ball gear, whatever Dash recommends, which is fine as long as she doesn't go too crazy with it. No more giant hats. The rest of the audience needs to see the game. But also, Rarity mentioned cheering for Dash. She wanted to wear the fan clothes so she could cheer for Dash from the stands, rather than playing Buck Ball herself. That's also a good compromise, because she can still support her friend without being stuck actually doing an activity she doesn't really enjoy herself. So, that was definitely an interesting angle to take on that as well. And, together they proved a rather interesting point about friendship, and this is something that I personally hadn't really thought about much before. That common interests aren't the only reason to be friends with somebody. I mean, they certainly help, as seen here. And it's much harder to remain friends without some common ground, I'd say. But personal interests clearly aren't the only reason for friendships to exist. I would have to say, I think even that friendships that are based on more than just common interests could actually be stronger in some respects. When you have a lot of common interests, it's very easy to be fair weather friends with somebody, as you can easily just do all kinds of things together that both of you enjoy. But it's a lot harder to support each other in things that you don't share a common interest in. When you have a friendship based on a whole bunch of stuff that is above and beyond just common shared interests, I'd say that's likely much stronger and will likely stand the test of time even better. Though occasionally a few reminders may still be needed, like we saw in this case. But yeah, overall a great lesson for all of us. Definitely some things to consider for us there. And just a few side notes here. I love seeing the students learning from this example. The message in some of these episodes as of late has been a bit unclear. So this was much better. It's much more clear and to the point. And I loved how Smolder and Gallus specifically were the ones to question the validity of this friendship. I mean, keep in mind, dragons and griffins are the two creature races represented at the school that to which the concepts of friendship are the most foreign. It probably made no sense to either of them how these two could legitimately be friends, because they're struggling to just understand friendship in general, and without that common interest, it's like, how do you even base it on anything? So that was definitely kind of an eye-opening experience for them, I think. And yes, it was a bit strange for Twilight to just kind of invite herself and the students along for the day with Rarity and Rainbow Dash. That said, they are all teachers of friendship, and it would have looked bad to just leave things the way they were. And, keep in mind, this is a school of friendship, which is a thing that has never really existed and doesn't exist in the real world. So we really have no precedent for this. Friendship is so strongly centered around social interactions that it really does make sense for an object lesson to, it makes sense that an object lesson may require the teachers to actually be observed in that setting. And, I think, quite honestly, both Rarity and Dash realized the nature of the situation and, for the benefit of the students, consented to this. So, it was definitely a bit of a sudden thing, but I think it ultimately all worked out pretty well. And, of course, I realize there's the argument of just having the students there observing could have made things slightly worse, but they really did well to just kind of sit there in the background quietly watching, taking notes, and, they weren't getting in the way of anything, at least not obviously. And quite frankly, I think Dash and Rarity were just too wrapped up in each other's drama to even really notice they were there. So I don't think it was really much of a problem in this case. And lastly, I just gotta bring up the door, or I should say the door and the tunnel out of the school. Why does the school have a secret tunnel to a doorway in the middle of a swamp? It's clearly part of the school. I mean, with the school crest and Twilight's cutie mark, that stuff's all over that door. And I was wondering if that was created like just now, but I don't know how they would have, created that quickly. I mean, burrowing a tunnel through a mountain, that's not something you just do that quickly, I think, even with magic. I mean, there was moss growing over the crest and everything. I mean, it looked like this had been built there and then just left there for a while. So I'm thinking this was something built when the school was built. Perhaps some kind of an emergency escape tunnel for evacuations in case of an attack. I mean, there's been a lot of attacks. I mean, changelings, T-Rex. I mean, never know what's coming next. But it's a bit curious that if that's what its purpose was, why didn't all the teachers know about it? Because you'd think they should all be apprised of evacuation plans for the safety of the students, if it came to that. So, yeah, it seems like it was something maybe only known about by Twilight up until this point. I don't know, with this, there's all kinds of questions and not a whole lot of answers at this point, but I'm guessing that's going to be relevant somewhere in the future. I don't think that was put in this episode just for this one little story. I'm thinking that's going to factor into the overarching story later on, like maybe in the season finale or something. I'm not sure to what extent, but I can't help but feel it's going to be relevant somewhere down the road. With the amount of continuity we've had in the season, there's just no way I'm believing otherwise at this point. But yeah, that is it. That's all I've got on this one. Thanks so much for watching along with me on this, and hope you got some interesting insights out of this one and had a blast watching it. And as always, I look forward to the next episode. So until then, have a good one.